The following program makes use of copywritten material as part of a psychological examination of music. All music copyrights remain property of their respected creators.
Man, I need a drink. How about you? Well, if you're as thirsty as I am and you want to know the place to be, get yourself over to 12th Street Bar. 12th Street Bar is the new name for the formerly known Smokin' Josie's, located at 1024 12th Street here in the beautiful Huntsville, Texas. The drinks, the atmosphere, the amazing staff. This place has it all. And it's becoming the new mecca for live music in Huntsville and is bringing local artists as well as performers from surrounding cities. You can walk in any day of the week from 6 p.m. to 2 p.m. on weekdays, 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. on Saturdays, and 6 p.m. to midnight on Sundays. So when you plan to go out next time for a tasty drink, make the right choice and choose 12th Street Bar. All right, welcome to the Conversationalists, friends. Today's show, we had our very good friends, the Pickets, Greg Pickett and Papa Paul Pickett. Man, that was a good show today, man, I swear.
Good show.
We've known Greg for a good while. He's been a friend of mine. I went to high school with him, but he's also been well known in the music circuit as a musician, and he's been in rock bands. He's doing his acoustic project, the Pickets, right now. He's a fantastic producer. He had Prison City Studios for a good while, which we had the pleasure of recording at. So Greg's pretty much the shit whenever it comes to most things musically in Huntsville.
Absolutely.
And he came over to hang out with us and talk about his show that he has coming up on the 20th, February 20th at 12th Street Bar, 9 p.m. Get your seats early because, matter of fact, it's probably going to be the biggest fucking show of the year. I'm calling it.
I'm going to say the biggest show of the year.
Absolutely. So on that note, Johnny, take us there, baby.
Welcome to the Conversationalists.
Cool beans. Pickets, thank you for joining us today.
Hello, Nico.
How is your day going so far, man?
It's going pretty good.
Yeah. We went to the Chipotle today, which
Nice.
didn't even know it was open. Went to there and had a tasty burrito, and I felt the E. coli just passed right through me afterwards.
Right.
So it was a pretty peaceful experience, I would say.
Nice.
I asked for extra E. coli.
Yeah. No, it was really great. But before we get hard into it, I say we start off with our traditional clinky.
All right.
Johnny, if you would.
Hold it. I can't get the top unscrewed on this. Okay. There.
All right.
All right.
Mazel tov. Ooh, that goes down smooth.
It's a good way to start a show, I think.
Absolutely. So you guys got a show coming up the 20th?
Yes.
At 12th Street Bar.
12th Street Bar.
You guys have played there a few times now.
Yeah, it's used to be Josie's, but now 12th Street Bar. Yeah, we've been playing there, I think, for 3 or 4 years.
Right. Do you still get like the same buzz or the same experience like every time you go on stage and you play a show?
Oh yeah, if not even more now. Now that we get to know people, we've gotten to know people.
Yeah, the buzz starts to build a little bit. The crowd, they start to know your songs a little bit more, and it becomes more fun. I remember our first shows, like nobody knew us and they didn't know what we were about, and they would show up just out of curiosity, and then like 3 or 4 shows down the way, we had people that were like shouting out the names of our songs or like singing.
Right.
Sorry about that. It's fun how it grows. As it starts as this little tiny project, this little thing inside that you create just to see where it goes, and then you see people singing or dancing around and having fun at your shows. I always thought that was the funnest thing.
Absolutely.
I don't know if this is the correct title for the song, but you play a song, I think it's Shake Your Ass or Shake Your Bum.
Yeah.
Or I'm not exactly sure what it was called, but I did notice that more and more people were getting live to that song.
Right, and that's what I was going to say, too, is, as we've played, over the years, it's the crowd's developed, but also the progression through the show. We start off really soft acoustic, and then, as it gets more appropriate to sing,
Right.
inappropriate.
After a few more drinks, it gets more appropriate to sing those types of songs. Now, your style of music, like you said, it could be very calm, very relaxed. I don't know, folksy or maybe sort of country style.
Right.
Was that your guys' sort of influence? Like when you were wanting to make music together, you sort of wanted to go to those sort of roots, or?
We've played just about every kind of music there is,
Yeah,
that's
and
good.
we just pick songs we like to play. And it started out that Greg and I were just getting together to entertain ourselves and playing songs that we either knew or wanted to know. And Greg has written some really good songs.
Yeah.
And
for as long as I've known Greg,
it.
he's always been a phenomenal musician. I met you. You were a drummer.
Yeah.
And I always thought that's what I thought of you as a fellow drummer. You, Thomas Carter, Will Grigsby. All fellow drummers. You guys are obviously well trained than I was, but I always looked up to you guys as other drummers. Like I could.
No, vice versa too.
Yeah.
It's,
and then I saw you play at high school with your band Lenora.
Yeah.
And,
You were in Lenora?
Yeah, I was the drummer.
Wait,
for Lenora.
where wasn't it called something else?
Stereostatic.
Stereostatic. That's what it was.
Stereostatic, yeah.
No,
I remember seeing you guys there, and you guys were just rocking out. It was like so much fun to watch, especially for like a high school event.
Yeah,
because
played
you think they
some
would be like,
Rage.
all right, just keep it cool,
Yeah.
It was like a Macho Man kind of thing.
Yeah, that was my
you
Macho
guys were
Man.
the event entertainment, and you guys would play like Rage Against the Machine and stuff
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that. I think you also played song number 2 by Blur. Like it was a very rocking show, and I want to say someone had passed me out a flyer that you were gonna be playing at Lizards.
Right.
It was a huge show. It was you guys. I think this is when you switched over to Lenora as a band. But it was you guys. It was Short Bus Superheroes.
Yeah, Last
and
Great Assault.
Last Great Assault.
Yeah.
Whole bunch of great rock bands. That's actually one of the first shows I ever went to. True story.
Nice.
Like, I went on to like big. Like, I went to go see like Taking Back Sunday and like all like those like teenager like punk bands later on. But I saw you guys play at Lizards, and it's probably like my first show I ever went to. Like my mom stuck me in, because we were just kids back then,
Right.
And I remember thinking this is like a real fun time.
Yeah.
It made me excited to like play shows with other musicians, other bands, or whatever. And then I don't think we ever got to play a show together, but because I think by the time Lenora split up was when Reed, your guys' bass player, jumped over to our side.
That's exactly what happened.
To the dark side.
To the dark.
To the dark side.
But you started off like in like a rock band. Was there anything that made you want to kind of switch over to like the more acoustic sound, or?
Well, I think I've always been more connected to the more acoustic side of things, even while playing drums for Stereostatic and Lenora, and all that.
And he didn't have an electric guitar.
That I didn't have an electric guitar for a long time. Eventually, I managed to get one. So yeah, a lot of it was just kind of working with what I had, and also playing music with him throughout my life, and then also my brother Matthew.
Oh, okay.
And stuff, and he would show me.
I forget
some
that
stuff
you
on
have
acoustic.
siblings. I know you have a sister.
Right.
I forget that you had is it older brother?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, Matthew. And
Okay.
hopefully we can get him eventually in on the whole, the Pickets thing.
Yeah.
And he still comes up and plays with us too.
That's
so.
cool. Are there any other musicians in your family besides you gentlemen, or?
My mom plays a little bit of piano.
Oh, okay.
And so she showed us some of the basics, like whenever we were kids. She'd show us the scales and
Was music like a big thing in your guys' house growing up, or like whenever Greg and the other children were small?
It was at one when he was real small. No, well, I guess not. It was before that. I got out of music or playing it for a number of years, like 7 years or so. We lived in Jasper, Texas for a while, and I just didn't have anyone to play with or anything. And when I moved back to Huntsville, a friend of mine was playing in the mixed review with some of the guys here in Huntsville. So they let me come sit in and play with them and stuff, and that started it all over again.
That's great.
So
Yeah, I think I've been in that boat before. Like you want to find other musicians, and it's always hard because maybe someone's not as like they just casually play it, they don't put a lot of time into it, but you're well into your instrument, you just want to take it somewhere, and finding good musicians is a hard thing sometimes.
Well, and also finding people that you can connect with.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I've actually connected better with people that weren't trained at all, or
really?
Had a roommate back in Austin,
mm-hmm.
and he wanted to play keyboards and like a punk band.
Right.
And so I was like, oh, it's not that hard, So I showed him a couple chords, and we ended up writing some really good songs. We called ourselves the Bees.
Bees to Bees?
The Bees.
Oh, the Bees.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so we'd play songs about werewolves and stuff like that. It was all written in the garage and stuff like that. But
right.
But the thing is, we had a connection though, and I think that's a lot of times more important than the skill level.
Absolutely, I absolutely agree. I mean, there would be so many times when we would be at our band practice, and we would just be jamming out probably the most random stuff, not even a structured song, but we'd just be
right.
jamming. And I remember at the end of it, we'd just be looking at each other, just huffing and puffing, and just like, that was the truest of moments right there, just being able to experience something together. Then, we would use that energy to, craft and actually write out a song.
Right. And it had nothing to do with, like, being classically trained. I wasn't ever
right.
classically trained to any degree. I'm finding myself getting back into learning the proper way to do music, But
right.
for the longest time, it's always been just me just feeling out or basing it off of ear,
Well, I like to think that the theory aspect of it is more of a tool
mm-hmm.
to help your creativity,
Right.
rather than completely focusing on the theory aspect of it.
True.
Right.
Now, you came from the marching band
Right.
thing. I know you were percussions in that, but do you ever find yourself like going back to those days or like the things that you learned from there to help you now with your music, or?
Yeah, I do every day. It's I'm sure you do this too, but like beating on tables.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, shoot, if I have nothing to do, I'll be beating on my lap.
Yeah. Oh, I stick with the belly drum.
Yeah, the belly. Oh, no, that's the best one. You get some resonance, with
right?
Multiple sounds too. But now I'll find myself doing rudiments and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I also think of in writing terms. I usually use some theory like like as I'm structuring my songs and stuff.
Right.
Did you ever take any guitar lessons, or did that you figure out by yourself?
Like I said, I think my brother. It started off with my dad. He showed me.
I showed him the three chords I knew.
Yeah. But he showed me songs.
Let me guess. You got a G in there, probably.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
A D.
Yeah.
Okay.
And C.
And C.
Okay.
That's it.
Those are all that I know.
Yeah. I saw this T-shirt once. It was like how to pick up chicks, and it was like three chords. It was three G, D, and C or whatever. But
yeah.
I thought that was pretty funny.
Absolutely.
I've seen one that was like how to pick up chicks, and it just had the three fingers over the D.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I took a course in college, the very beginners for guitar, but I always found like I feel like I figured it all out on my own. Like just right. Sitting in a room all by myself and just. Even if it sounded bad, like I'll pick up a bass guitar now and just try and fiddle with it, and it sounds terrible, but I feel it's all through trial and error. Music. Even if you're not trained, or if you are, you're gonna mess up eventually. But I think in messing up, over time, you eventually learn not to mess up. And you learn the right thing to do and what works
right.
and what notes work together and what keys. I definitely know I've screwed up a lot with music, and I definitely feel like that has made me a better musician.
Absolutely.
I don't know. I think that can be said in life in general. Like the mistakes.
Every little thing.
Yeah. But
it applies.
Yeah. So you also have your lady friend singing with you sometimes, right?
Yeah, Ashley Volkmer.
Is she like a full member of the band, or is she like a special guest appearance by Ashley Faulkner?
Yeah, no, she's absolutely her and Tom both at this point.
And who?
Tom Uyghur.
Oh, right.
Okay.
Yeah.
We were talking about that. We were trying to figure out who all was in the Pickets, and I remember seeing you guys play, and you had a drummer in the back.
Right.
I know he's Jacob Uyghur's
dad.
Dad. Okay.
Yeah.
I made the mistake. I called him his grandfather. That was my bad. But
well, he is known as the oldest drummer in Texas.
Right.
So.
Did you just meet him through Jake or?
No, actually, he played with my dad.
Back in the early 80s, we were in a band called the Prison City Slammers.
Okay.
Wow.
And played a lot of new wave, reggae,
Really?
old rock and roll.
Well, that's cool.
Ska, a lot of ska.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But anyway, we've played in several bands. We played in a country band called Nothing Fancy.
Mm-hmm.
We played in a blues band down in Spring.
Never was.
Never was. Never will be. Yeah,
Right.
Who came up with the titles of these bands?
the Prison City Slammers, that was our lead singer, Willie Wall, pretty much came up with that. He and a friend of his were RTF students at SAM and came up with a company called Prison City Productions. And I had gotten recently divorced and moved into this house with a bunch of other people, and Willie was one of them. He and I had no money, but there was a bass guitar there, a drum set, and he had an electric guitar, and we would buy a bunch of beer and sit around and try to play music. And
With what money you had.
yeah. And it got where we were having a good time, and real musicians were showing up to play with us, and it grew into the Prison City Slammers, and we had a pretty good following. We played in Houston a lot. We played the Caravana once, and the Ale House. We played there regularly, and had a good thing going till everyone graduated. That's sort of
that'll do
sort
it.
of took care of the band, but that was sort of my band start.
Did you? Well, I mean, was playing music? Was it like a therapeutic thing for you to, like, you know, put you in a better place, or was it something that you just wanted to do because maybe you looked up to other musicians? Like, what was it that, you know, connected you with music?
We did it for our own entertainment.
Yeah.
And we did love music. Willie and Clay, they had this thing at was Touch of Texas. It's where Guaranteed Wholesome used to be.
I think it's Richmond Hall now.
It's next door to the Town Theater.
Oh, okay. I know
Anyway,
yeah.
they used to be a club, and they would have New Wave night there every Tuesday night or something like that, and draw a big crowd. And
yeah. Actually, I think I did a show there once while it was Richmond Hall.
Richmond Hall, yeah.
And,
Right.
yeah, I mean, it's a nice place to do a show. I remember I was actually talking with him a second ago because we were talking about a mutual friend of ours, Daniel Glazort. They used to do like concerts there, like for like Christian bands.
Yeah.
Eternal Volume, and I was telling him the story. Daniel Glazort like chipped half of his tooth,
Busting his tooth, yeah.
in a Christian rock show mosh pit, like.
Yeah.
I was totally in the Christian rock show mosh pit.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I played a show there once. It's a nice little spot. It seems kind of I don't know if punk rock is a scene because it's very like small. You know, it's kind of dark in there. But I remember we did a show there, and it was actually really fun.
That was actually where Lenora made it start.
Really?
I don't remember which hurricane it was that came through, but it knocked out all the power.
Yeah.
In Huntsville for the most part, and they actually just walked into our game room at the time when I was living with my parents in high school, and him and Chris McNair walked in and said, "Hey, we need a drummer."
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, I was sitting there playing bass, just fiddling around, and so we needed a place to practice. I don't know who had the hookup on that place, but that was actually the first place that we practiced.
Okay.
And so that's how we actually got started, was practicing at Richmond Hall.
That's awesome, man.
That's awesome.
Now, how did you meet Reed? Because he's a mutual band friend of ours, I guess.
Reed, I met at during band.
Okay.
and so I met him through band, and I was interested in playing guitar, and he was playing guitar. He was actually doing all his finger picking stuff back then, and
still doing it now.
Yeah, really. I haven't heard any recently, but yeah, I heard that, and it blew my mind. You know, I was just, like, wow, how are you doing that? You know, I'm used to banging on a guitar with a pick. You know, and so he really, you know, he showed me how to do some finger picking stuff, and then you know, after that, Daniel, Chris, and I were practicing, and I said, hey, I've got a guy that can finger pick really well. I'm sure he can play bass really well. And so we called him up, and he joined the band.
That seems pretty similar to my story. I met my guitarist, Gary, maybe when I was 12 years old. I think it was just like because he was friends with my brother. But later on, he asked me, because I played bass guitar back in the day when we were in 8th grade, and he asked me if I want to play bass with him.
Try it out for him before that.
Try it out for him. And so I went over to his house, and, you know, we tried writing some music, and I wasn't that great of a bass player to begin with. I had like one of those starter P basses that you get in like the starter pack, just to try it out, just to have fun. And he was like, "You want to try out?" And I was like, "Are you sure? I mean, I'm not even that great of a player, but okay." You know, so I tried out, and then the hurricane hit. I want to say it was Hurricane Rita. Yeah, Hurricane Rita hit, and like they were sectioning where they would cut the power off, like they would take the power off of this part of town so that this part could go on. So the power went off at where we were practicing at his house, so we couldn't use our guitars or whatever. And they had a drum set in the other room, so I went over and I just started playing on the drums. And he's like, "You're kind of good. You know, you want to play bass or you want to play drums?" So I was like, "I'll play drums."
Yeah,
so that's how it all started. But then I remember I went to your guys' show at the high school for the Macho Man thing, and I wasn't trying to steal him or anything like that, but I was like, when we were looking for a bass player, I was like, "Man, I saw this guy play the other day. He's really good." And then you guys disbanded. I was like, "I got to call that guy up," you know, and we were talking about Reed, and he came over and jammed out with us we went to his house, the little blue house that he has, that he lives at today. And we had a lot of fun. He like threw the bass in the air and it hit the ceiling, put a hole in the ceiling.
I remember seeing the hole.
Yeah, those were good times, man.
I remember that practice.
Yeah. But so you play music, but also you're into producing music.
Yes.
You have your studio.
Well, and actually, I've noticed over time that that seems to be more of what I do.
Yeah.
Than sticking to one particular thing as a musician, and
more consistent at the whole producing music
as a producer. Because and what it is I've been working on multiple projects, you know, for years throughout the years and stuff as almost more of a helper than as a you know, a solid part, you know. And so I'm a solid part of that particular project, but it's more of how are we going to put this together. And stuff.
Now, where did you go to school for music production? Or?
I did for a little while. I went to Media Tech in Austin.
Okay.
And I actually started off in Branson. I left high school and went to Branson. And my parents had got me this little 8-track digital recorder.
Right.
And I remember actually trying to record for the first couple times, just thinking, man, this really sucks.
Yeah.
Like, man, this is really hard.
I just sold my 16-track little... it's one of those that had like the little you could burn a CD on it.
Yeah.
You know, but it was shit. Like it didn't have any kind of EQ built into it.
Right.
Like it could have if you were doing it digitally, but I was like, you know, in this age, why don't I just get you know, something for the computer?
Right, and at this point that makes sense. When those things came out, though,
right,
and I remember looking through catalogs and being like, I have to have one of these.
Right, you know? Absolutely,
and
the easy way to record.
Right. Oh, you think so?
Well, now that we've got the computer programs, it's like, whoa, this is
ancient history type stuff.
Right.
And it's hard to navigate, really.
It is, and it's also hard to transfer them or the files over. But honestly, I started off with that, and then went to Media Tech in Austin because I found I was getting more and more interested in it. And actually, I remember my dad, he said that he wanted to get some recording equipment at some point to record some piano stuff that I was working on at the time. And so that kind of was in the back of my head. And so I went to Media Tech and got some experience there. The studio was actually owned by Willie Nelson.
Really?
Originally, yeah.
Oh, wow.
And
yes, Arlen Studios.
Yeah, a fantastic studio. But I don't know if I was ready for Austin at the time. Right. So I ended up getting through about 3/4 of it, and I ended up dropping out.
Okay.
But I got all the recording classes, and got a lot of good experience, and came back, and then we opened the studio.
That was a pretty good studio that you guys had.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun.
What was the first location? Did you only have one location that it was at?
Well, we started, once we got all the equipment, we started it in our game room at our house, my house. And it became pretty obvious that it wasn't a great situation to have strange people showing up at all hours of the night and playing music in a neighborhood that's, not necessarily geared for live sound. And,
At least Mom wasn't too thrilled.
Yeah,
about it,
yeah. So we pretty much had to do something to keep peace in the family and the neighborhood and everything else. So we found that place that we ended up leasing. And
is that the place by January's?
Yes.
Okay. And
we stayed there 2 or 3 years.
I think it may have been 3.
And we recorded some good music. We had Huntsville has some fantastic musicians, and
fantastic musicians, and really not much of a scene.
Right. Yeah, our open houses, people love that because they could go there, hear all sorts of different musicians, and hang out. And it was like bring your own snacks and beverage and sit around and play music, and that was great. And the studio was great. It's just that all the money we were making was going to rent, taxes, utilities,
Nothing you're actually making.
No, we didn't get to keep any of the money. It all went to someone else, and so all we were doing was taking it in and giving it out, and nothing to show for it except a good time, which is
some great recordings.
Yeah, that's probably reason enough to keep it going, but
you got to be real about it. You got to, yeah. I remember when we went to the studio with you, and I remember thinking that was just a really, really positive experience. We went to the other studio that was in town, Haven. I don't know if you remember Haven. They used to be Goat Records.
Oh, yeah. I remember Goat.
We went there, and that was a good experience just because it was, so out there. People we didn't know, like Garrett, and we kind of knew Glenn because he was in Short Bus Superheroes.
Yeah.
And Kevin Chuburka, who's a really great, really amazing dude. But it was sort of like we're being introduced to, the real world for, recording music, people who know their shit about recording music, the engineering, the producing, everything about it. So you're in it, at least as far as, Huntsville goes. And we did that, and, we had some good times, we had some bad times, but overall it was, where we wanted to be in the studio. But whenever a couple years passed and we decided that, we wanted to get with you and we wanted to record, I admit there was some nervousness, we were kind of scared about how it was all going to go. But once we got in there with you and just noticed, the atmosphere is real chill. There was a Buddha statue or dim lights, couches, real positive, vibes. And that really made, I think, our time working with you a lot better.
Yeah.
Not to mention just to be in the studio again. That was so exciting, man. I imagine now that you have, your own thing going, you can just record at any time you want,
Right. And that's exciting as well. And by the way, working with both Pinholder and Before I Wake was a blast.
Yeah, dude, it was overall a great time, man. I really wish you guys still had that spot up, man. Because I'd be like, let's go over, let's record the next one, But it's understandable. What are you doing now as far as your studio, the location of it, where you're running it?
Well, I just finally got out of a shack situation,
right?
I was living in a 600 square foot kind of area, efficiency, and as much as I liked it, I just moved into a bigger house, and so I'm hoping to actually get a space to where at least we can practice and do some recording too. But I think when it comes to actually using it as a business, I think I'm going to kind of keep it on the, I guess not on the down low. I guess I'm on a podcast right now, but I think it's going to be more used as a place for give myself an opportunity to work on some projects that I really want to do.
Yeah.
One with the Pickets. I mean, we're working on recording an album.
Really?
Yes, finally after years, and with I think Logan McCune, I'm going to work on a project with him. Daniel Kazort, we're working on a project. Jake Uyghur, working on another project.
Now, is he coming down?
He's going to come visit, I think, for a week. I think we're just going to crank it out.
Okay, well, if we can get a chance, I'd love to get Jacob on the show.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, and that's, I'm sure he would be thrilled.
Yeah.
Right.
You know,
is he coming to work with you to work on the next Jacob Machine album, or is
no? We have a project called Them Folks.
Okay.
And so what I'm gonna try to do is I had an idea of wanting to make rap sort of beats out of all kind of organic instruments, and so it'd be like
kind of like Immortal Technique.
Well, it'd be like acoustic guitar. I was thinking about maybe getting like using pots and pans.
Yeah.
Things
cool.
like that. Just stuff that
Folk
you don't
rap.
even have to. Yeah, you don't even have to plug in, and then have him rap over it or do poetry over it.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Do you have like a preference? Like, I notice nowadays, like music is becoming way more digital.
Right.
You know, like as far as like, I mean, you do everything on the computers or whatever, but you still have opportunities where you can make it organic, where you can stomp your feet and clap and use pots and pans or whatever. Like,
right.
Do you find something to be a little bit more, more real, more I don't know, what's the word I want to be?
Organic?
Like genuine.
Yeah, genuine. More genuine whenever you can just create it like, you know, like this, rather than having to do like preset tools on preset instruments on a computer or anything like that.
But you're still recording it digitally.
Yeah.
So
I guess,
with that in mind, though, I mean, have you guys ever been involved in any tape recordings?
No, actually, I have not done analog recording. I would be really interested. I know there's a guy in town, Billy Hillman.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
He does analog recording. Really fantastic guitarist. And I would really be interested in doing it and actually seeing how the process is done. But it's like kind of like whenever digital cameras came into the mix.
Yeah.
It's
right.
like, you know, I'm
still some sense of pixelatedness.
Yeah, and I mean, a good recording is a good recording.
Right.
You know, and so it's as long as it captures the right emotion or captures what you need to capture. I feel like it's a good recording. You know, and there may be a slight difference in sound quality, but I don't think that it's. I haven't personally heard enough to completely switch over to analog.
Right. You don't have that kind of ear to know
if
if there is a difference. I think some people, and I know somebody who swears by tape recording and analog. I think it's a lot of the time it very well may be just like the sense of I don't want to say ego, but I think that there's something that they're kind of holding with it that comes from their experience that they've had,
keeping a tradition, like and it's cool. It's like I would rather listen to a record than a CD, personally, just because I like that feeling. There's a feeling about it.
I just got my first record player like not too long ago, and I got some Marvin Gaye.
Nice.
And I listened to What's Going On with my mom, and I remember just thinking like, this is what it's all about right here. Just,
What's going on?
Yeah. But you're absolutely right, man. Like I now that I got that record player, like it's hard for me to like listen to other music because I want to experience it through that now because the richness or the sound that it creates.
Well, I feel like that's what people are talking about with analog.
Yeah.
And like I said, I'd love to do it and I'd love to spend some time learning about it, but
it's a lot of different equipment.
It is, and also it's
expensive for the tapes alone.
Exactly, and that's the thing is that musicians don't have any money.
Oh no.
Anyway, usually.
No.
And so the cheaper, we figured, especially considering we were doing Huntsville recording and we were doing small scale stuff, trying to get people demos out and trying to record our Hispanic rap music and stuff.
Right.
People come in there for an hour.
What was that like, by the way? Like, whenever they would come in and start their music? Like, did you have to like keep it cool the whole time? Like,
I loved it. That was probably some of my favorite sessions.
Yeah, it was pretty high quality stuff.
It was.
And
it was.
It was almost good that you didn't understand what they were talking about.
Oh, wow.
That way you can focus more on the musical aspect of it. I totally get that. Yeah.
Well, and you might not want to hear what they're saying.
Every now and then you hear marijuana, big booty. It's great. Yeah. No, I loved it. But what was and that was it too. You know, you could focus on the tone and their delivery.
Yeah.
Even if you didn't know what they were saying, you could feel what direction they were going, and so I'd say, you know, they'd say something and I'd have to repeat it back to them in Spanish, and just be like, whenever you said, you know, I can't think of anything in Spanish, but whenever you said this, you know, why don't you do it like this instead? Yeah. And so it actually, in a way, was a lot easier to work with.
That's awesome. Do you feel like, do you have to like switch yourself off from like engineer to like producer to like almost put yourself in like the artist's shoes as well, like try and like create like the best sound? Like you have to think like, oh, maybe you should just take it to like that next level with your, you know, with what you're using like with your vocals, like to make it more emotional, or, you know, like do you look more for like the technical aspect of it, or are you just like the overall emotional aspect of it?
I think it's a blend between the two. I try to take care of the technical aspect of it kind of under the radar, and like you were saying, tap into the the emotional aspect with the musician. So I try to make it to where the artist doesn't have to worry about the technical aspect of it,
right?
And
nice.
so that I can actually just let them do their thing.
Yeah.
And I think overall, the more important of the two is the emotional aspect.
Yeah, I agree. Like there'd be some times where we would be working on music, and I remember there was one song in particular, like John would be delivering a line, and you know, it'd be good, it'd be okay, but you know, it wasn't, you know, to like the extreme that it needed to be. So like, you know, we would might say something to him, like just like plant some seed in his head, like kind of piss him off a little bit.
Yeah.
So where like, he would kind of get deep and gritty in there in the microphone and get intense, get emotional. You know what I mean? It's like I hate that I have to be the stickhead to my best friend, but if it's for the song, got to do what you got to do, man. You know. Do you remember that?
You know, that was the week before I quit.
Yeah.
If that says anything about it, but at least I've got a copy of the end product.
Right.
You
got to do what you got to do. So, but going back to your studio, like, do you have like a vision of like where you would want to take it, like where you want it to go? Like, do you want to go into do you want to get another building like you had before, or something like that, or do you want to just sort of keep it?
Because I hope you do.
Yeah.
But that's beneficial.
Yeah.
I've seen studios and I think in Austin, I want to say, they do it like straight out of their house, but they have, you know, enough space to where they can sort of, you know, have the drums and big groups of people in there, you know, like. So would you want to do it like more like a business, or like out of your house and make it like a more of a community kind of thing? Or?
Well, what I'd ultimately like to do is because recordings become so accessible, it doesn't make money, and that's not. And I'm not really a huge person when it comes to like. I'd rather benefit, you know, the community than of course than make a lot of money or anything.
But it costs a lot of money for the equipment and everything,
exactly.
And especially like nowadays when you've got those programs to record music, you do have to pay on those still. Like, you know, for Pro Tools, you've got however much a month or a year or whatever.
Got to upgrade, and
you have to keep up with it, and it's just one of those things that
it becomes obsolete, and you can't record on it anymore.
That actually ended up happening to us.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and so right now I'm working with Reason right now.
Wow.
Yeah, but what I'd like to do though is I'd like to set something up to where we could have people that we want to record, you know, some local musicians and stuff, and every now and then have people come in and record, but keep it low key. Yeah, and more not necessarily a business, but more of a service for every now and then for some friends and stuff like that. You know, the community, but but maybe just
and
not
maybe go
as,
out and do some live recording too.
Right, and that's something I'm working on right now too. But it would be definitely a lot more low key, not in attempts to make enough money to pay my rent.
Right.
You know.
That's cool, man. I respect that. You know,
if someone else was paying for it. You know,
oh yeah,
Any takers?
Yeah.
You know, my number.
Yeah. But as far as the Pickets go, like, is your guys' only goal to do some shows and do a record together, or do you want to like try and maybe play a bigger venue sometime, or where are you guys going with what you guys are doing?
Well, we're seeing kind of where it grows on its own. We started off, I think the album for the most part is more almost like a scrapbook kind of thing. Like, it's a memory, that we'd like to capture.
That's really cool.
But
mostly for you guys,
right, and for people that would like to enjoy it. But it's more just to like, oh yeah, we made this.
I'm gonna tell you right now, I would love to enjoy it. So let me know when you get it, and you got it for a copy to give out. Just let me know, and it, any whatever charge it's gonna be, it's worth. Some live music.
$200.
Yeah, $200. Well, you're gonna have to wait.
Well, we never intended for our music playing and stuff to become, a working band or anything like that. We were just trying not to embarrass ourselves when we got up and played in front of people.
Right.
And, we worked out a few songs and added a few more. Now we've got a sizable song list, and we're getting better at playing them, and it's a lot of fun. There's not much better than playing in front of an audience when you're playing good music and they enjoy it.
Absolutely. Right, absolutely. Well, I've seen you guys play, and it is enjoying. I mean, it's it doesn't appear as if anybody's making a fool of themselves or anything. And
if anything, and I hate to interrupt you, John. I saw you guys play one time, and I did notice. I think it was just the two of you playing. Greg, you were singing your song and you doing a thing, and you were behind him playing the bass. And there'd be a few times where I noticed where I would see you just sort of look over at Greg, and you'd kind of have like a smile growing on your face. And I remember thinking, this is the most heartwarming thing I've ever seen in my life.
He mentioned that to me, and I was actually, you interrupted me, but I was going to go into the same thing.
Right.
He caught my attention with that, and I'm like, oh my, that is really heartwarming, watching, because it looked as if what you were saying in your head was, man, I'm proud. And that was, we felt that, and that was the like, it made me feel as if because my dad was a musician, and if I ever got the chance to play with him, that would be such a good thing, and so I can, I see it as you guys more of like a jam band, but at the same time with written music,
right?
But it's as fun as a jam band. You're doing it for you, but you're also doing it for everyone, and that's definitely what I like to see and like to hear and like to feel whenever I go into 12th Street Bar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thanks. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Some of the time that I'm smiling at him, I'm going, did you hear that?
Actually, the majority of the time.
I screwed that one up. Or he did. Sometimes I'm laughing at him. We laugh at each other when we make mistakes on stage.
And I've totally been there.
Yeah.
That's really fun. That's a lot of where the fun comes from, and playing with people. Watch them screw up.
If anything, I feel like it kind of just adds a little bit of humanity to it.
Right.
Yeah.
I always considered, at least back in the day, not so much now, but you'd see a band and they turned into like this immortal status of like golden gods. Like they were like these legends on the stage. And you take like Led Zeppelin or something like that. You'd see Jimmy Page and you're just like, you're a god, or something like that. Nowadays, it just sort of seems like anybody can do it, But you have like, there's idea of musicians are like these metahumans, or like these skilled human beings. But whenever you sort of hear like they hit the wrong note, or in your case, you're laughing at each other because you make mistakes. Like I think it adds a little bit of humanity to it.
Yeah, and I like that humanity too. It makes it more approachable.
Yeah,
and I like sending that message too. That it is possible to play music.
Yeah,
and it's an exciting thing to do. And I want more people playing music.
Oh yeah, man! If we lived in a world where like everyone like played an instrument, or at least like was given the opportunity, like. I remember being in school and they gave us the recorder, and I remember thinking like how stupid it was to play the recorder. But now thinking, it was like I had a musical instrument when I was like in 4th grade.
Yeah,
I wish I had more of that. I wish
Mary had a little lamb.
Yeah, yeah, those were good times. But I don't know if I missed out on this or not. But are you guys gonna play a song or no?
No, not today. Not
okay,
today.
Okay. Well, in that case, then,
do you have any like recordings that you would be comfortable playing on our show?
I can get one.
If you can, yeah. It doesn't have to. Well, we're gonna air this Wednesday.
Okay.
So I can edit it into the mix if you feel comfortable giving us just a song that we can play at the end of our at the end of this.
Absolutely, yeah, that's not a problem. I didn't know the setup or anything. So
that's fine. Yeah.
Well, I mean. We have an acoustic guitar. I don't know if you want to jam something out for us.
Cool. Yeah, I can do that.
Okay. Let's get this set up for a second.
All right.
Say, won't you run back home? Don't take my heart with you, baby. Say, won't you run back home? Can't say I won't miss you. Said your old papa's been calling and your mama's worried sick, and your little baby sister's been getting into some real bad shit. Yeah, I know that it's a shame that our loving's gotta quit so soon. Say, won't you run back home? Don't take my heart with you, baby. Say, won't you run back home? Can't say I won't miss you. Yeah, little darling, you went and broke my heart, and I knew there was a chance of it right from the start. Yeah, you know that it's a shame that our loving's gotta quit so soon. Say, won't you run back home? Don't take my heart with you, baby. Say, won't you run back home? Can't say I won't miss you. Yeah. Woo. Say, won't you run back home? Don't take my heart with you, baby. Say, won't you run back home? Can't say I won't miss you, darling. Say, won't you run back home? Say, won't you run back home? Say,